Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you a personal story about how a person had a health challenge that he had faced since he was a child by using medical procedure and being a spiritual family for a way to live. Before we start, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button now. And let's begin. The story of me. My name is Jordan Sara. I was born Johnson, but later chose my mother's surname. I grew up without a father. My mother left my father when I was little. I later changed my last name to Sara instead of Johnson because my mother is also a father figure to me. Even though my mother remarried and my current father is a good man, I still refuse to change my last name. My current stepfather is a Burman. I love my little brother Jimmy. When I was 4, he always came to sleep with me in my room. Sometimes in the middle of the night, someone would open my door and I see a little boy come in, and it was Jimmy. He always told me there's a guy in a blue shirt who always takes off his blanket. I used to joke with him that it was me who took the blanket off him, but he never believed me. Now that Jimmy is older, he doesn't come to my room anymore. I miss it though. Even though Jimmy and I share a different father, we share the same mother. He will always be my little blood brother. Enough with my brother, Jimmy. This story is about me. Maybe one day Jimmy will tell someone my story. By the time that time comes, I may be long gone. I will no longer be in this world. I don't want to tell you my story from when I was little. That would be boring. Where should I start? Oh yes, I know. I remember it was my 3rd night in the hospital. After the doctor checked me out, he told my mom to take me to the hospital. The doctor said the whites of my eyes look a little yellowish. It was then that my mother noticed it too. Yellowing of the whites of the eye is a concern with liver disease. My mom took me to the hospital, and after doing a blood test and chest scan, my mom was told I had liver disease. Doctors suspected that I may have already had liver disease for many years. I went to sleep. That night I woke up at 1 a.m. to see my mom next to my bed holding my hand. It looks like she just finished crying. She said she will tell me something. She said when I was 2, she went into the pharmacy program and she was going to leave me with my father. My dad is a gangster, so he always hangs out with his friends. My mother said that every time he came home at 8 p.m., I was already asleep and my father had already gone out with his friends. Several months later, my mom found out my dad was using meds to make me sleepy so he could hang out with his friends. My mother told me that those drugs my father gave me to make me sleepy cause liver damage if taken in every day. She thinks my liver disease was caused by those meds from when I was a kid. She said when I was young it was stupid to be with my father, who was a gangster. I forgave my mother and told her that if she hadn't chosen my father, I would never have been born. After being in the hospital for 3 days, the doctor released me home. He prescribed me some medicines that will help me with my liver disease, but those meds make me poop 4 to 6 times a day. However, life was normal after that. I was fine even though I have liver disease. When I was 19, my liver got a lot worse. I got really sick and I keep bleeding. The doctor told us that I will die in a year if I don't have a liver transplant. I keep getting blood transfusions to help me stay alive. We work with the hospital and they put me on a waiting list for a liver transplant. I was told that usually if I have liver disease from alcohol use, I will never get a liver transplant. But since I'm not an alcoholic, I'm qualified to be on the waiting list for a liver transplant. We asked them how long the patient has to wait for a liver transplant. They said it's usually 30 days to 5 years. When they said that, I saw my mother's tears rolling down her cheeks. I will die if I have to wait more than a year. One day, everyone is at work and at school. I was home alone and start pooping blood again. It felt like a week. I decided to lie down, but first I went to my brother Jimmy's room to find his Game Boy. I went into his room and grabbed his Game Boy off the nightstand. When I turned around, I felt dizzy and fell. I don't know how long I've been down, but when I woke up, I felt that someone was making fun of me. I opened my eyes a little to look, and it was a strange guy in a blue shirt tugging at my leg. I passed out again. Later, I woke up at 2 p.m. My family should be home in about 2 hours. I got up to lay down on the sofa. Later, I told my mother what happened that day. My mom said she knows someone who can help look at the spiritual side and see what's going on. I asked her why she believes in such things when she's a pharmacist. You said there are things we don't know. Not everything has to be scientific. That Saturday, my mother and I went to see an old lady. My mother said she has already paid her to investigate my fate. I told my mom she's just wasting her money. If you can see the past and the future, then why gamble and lose money? My mom just told me we have to try. I asked my mom how much she paid that woman, and my mom said $800. When we got home, I asked my mom what Grandma said. My mom told me, she said you will be cured of your liver disease. She said you made a blood pledge with your wife in your past life. But since you two are separated by the ocean, You couldn't find your wife, so you decided to reincarnate. But you're only going to live this life as long as your wife does. I can't believe my mother believes such a thing. It's stupid and old Granny is just robbing my mother. I told my mom I can't believe she believes such a thing. My mother told me that she didn't believe it at first either. Then my mom said, Grandma knew about your birthmark on the left side of your back too. She said you died of a gunshot wound in your previous life. You died on the bank of a river. Did I die on the banks of a river? I really don't want to believe such a thing, but I guess my mom was happy that I was cured of my liver disease. This makes her happy. This is good for her mind, and I should be happy with her too. She is my everything, and if that makes her happy, then so am I. After 4 months, I got a call that they had found me a liver. My family was very happy. I guess it came true that I will be cured of my liver disease. I went to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 6 days after my liver transplant. They want to make sure everything is fine before they release me. While I was in the hospital, my girlfriend didn't come to see me. She kept saying she was busy. If someone really loves you, you won't have to ask them to come see you when you're in the hospital. I knew something was wrong. I wanted to go home, but the doctor wanted to keep me a few more days. They just want to make sure everything is okay, and they want to have more blood tests done every morning. I refused to stay, so I signed a paper to leave the hospital. When I got out, I found that my girlfriend had already seen someone else. She refused to give me another chance. Even if I understand, I would also be tired if I was with someone who was always sick. I told her I have a liver transplant, and she should be better from now on. But she was already too involved with her new boyfriend. I tell her I'm waiting for her. After 3 months of waiting, I was desperate. I can't wait any longer. She didn't call me, and even when I called, she didn't answer. We had been dating for 4 years. We were high school sweethearts. Letting go is hard. Desperate, I decided to go to a fortune teller. I know fortune teller are scammers, but I was desperate. I want to know if my girlfriend will ever come back. My fortune teller name is Mary. When I went into her office, it was kind of creepy. It has voodoo dolls and candles everywhere. She is old and blind. It was just her and her granddaughter. I have to pay $150 in advance. She asked me what I want to know. I told her that I love my girlfriend very much and I'm still waiting for her. I want to know if she will come back to me. Mary put cards on the table and told me to pick one. I chose one and gave it back to Mary. She didn't even look at it, she just held it in her hand. Then she told me that my girlfriend won't come back. She said my girlfriend is getting married sometime next year to her new boyfriend. But then she told me that there is good news. However, in order for her to tell me the good news, I have to pay $20 to reveal another card. I was already a little angry when she told me my girlfriend was getting married. She annoyed me even more when she told me I had to pay another $20 to reveal the good news. Mary told me that she sees that I'm angry, but that I can leave if I don't want to know the good news. I feel this blind woman can see my mind. But hey, it's only $20. I paid her $20 to choose another card. I gave it to her and she held it in her hand and said I would soon meet my soulmate. I have a soulmate. I asked her, how do I know someone is my soulmate and what she looked like? Mary said that to reveal such a big detail, I will have to pay $30 to choose another card. At this point, I'm thinking what a big scam I've gotten myself into. At that point, Mary said that I'm having negative thoughts and that she is not scamming me. She said she's only telling me what she knew. If I paid her $30, I would spend a total of $200 on this scam. But I was desperate for something to make me feel better about my love life. I paid her $30 to choose another card. I gave it to Mary and she held it in her hand. She told me that sometime I will meet my soulmate next year. My soulmate has a small scar on her face. Then Mary said that there's another very important detail that I should know, but I have to pay her another $30 to choose another card. I told her it's fine and I thank her. I left her office because I don't want her to screw me anymore. I don't want to know this very important detail she was talking about. After that very important detail, there will probably be another very important detail that I will also have to pay for. It's ridiculous. At least I'm only spending $200. Last time, my mom spent $800 on that other fortune teller. The following year, I turned 21. One day we went snowboarding with my stepfather and his relatives. I always loved the snow. I love snowboarding and haven't done it for 3 years due to my liver disease. If I fall, I can easily bruise or bleed heavily. But with my new liver, I'm glad I can get back to snowboarding. That day, one of the girls in the group was snowboarding and fell near a pine tree. She was bleeding from the right side of her face near her eye. I told her my mom has an emergency kit. I went to our car and pulled it out. I started to treat it. I rinsed her small wound, applied ointment and covered it with a Band-Aid. I told her that I can ask my mother about scar prevention ointment, since my mother is a pharmacist. I asked for her phone number so I can call her when I get the ointment. She gave me her number. It was then that I remember what Mary told me. Mary said that I will meet my soulmate this year, and she will have a scar on her face. I cannot believe. It was worth the $200. This girl's name is Samantha, and she is beautiful. Since that day, we've talked a lot on the phone about her. After 2 months, Samantha agreed to be my girlfriend. The ointment I gave him helps prevent scarring on her face. It's just a small white line on the face, and with makeup you can't even see it. She is beautiful whether she has a scar or not. After 4 months of dating, Samantha invited me to her grandmother's funeral one day. She told me her grandmother died of brain cancer. I went to the funeral the first day. When it came time to visit her grandmother in the coffin, I went there with Samantha. Samantha's grandfather was next to the coffin and cried a lot. I looked at Samantha's grandmother in the coffin. Her grandmother has a scar on the right side of her forehead. When we sat down again, I joked with Samantha and told her what Mary had told me about my soulmate having a scar on her face. She jokes and says that my soulmate is really her grandmother, then her and I laughed. Then I told Samantha that she is my soulmate because she has a scar, but she covered it with makeup. 2 months later, I woke up one day with a very sore right leg. I start touching my right leg and feel a lump inside my right thigh. I ignored it for a few days and then it got worse. I told my mother. She took me for a scan. The doctor was concerned and suspected that I had cancer all over my body. They said it's all over my lymphatic system. They did more tests. A few days later, a doctor told me that he suspected the tumors originated in my new liver. When my mother heard this news, she wanted to contact the hospital that gave me my new liver. She wanted to know if they gave me liver cancer on purpose. I told her not to. I told her it was me who refused to stay in the hospital after my liver transplant. I left early. Maybe if I stayed longer, maybe they might find out that the liver they gave me was not good liver. The more we talked to the doctor, the more desperate the situation became. They said they can't cure cancer by removing it because it's all over the body. They can only slow it down with chemotherapy. They also told me they also found 2 small nodules in my brain. I guess death is inevitable. I told my mother that I refused to have chemotherapy. Those cancer drugs are very hard on the body and would make my hair fall out. Whatever time I have left, I will take it because the cancer meds will make me miserable until the day I die. My mother cried. I told her I don't want a traditional burial. I want to be an organ donor and save other people's lives. But my mother told me that I have cancer, and they will never allow me to donate my organs to others. I told my mother that if so, when I die, please donate my body to science so they can study more about cancer. Maybe one day they will find a cure for cancer. I was very ill and stayed at home. Samantha comes to see me every day. A nurse also comes to see me every other day. The nurse warned me that the cancer in my brain can cause hallucinations and even seizures. Sometimes when I'm home alone, I start to smell sweet. Then suddenly my body started shaking uncontrollably. Then I saw a girl my age coming dressed all in white, and she hugged me tightly and stopped shaking. She would stay by my side until I fell asleep. I don't even know who that girl is. I've read about seizures and they said some people will hallucinate before it happens. All I know is that, for me, I would smell something sweet or sugary before I start having a seizure. One day I was sleeping in my room. I felt some hair being pulled out. I opened my eyes and it was my mother. She said she's sorry she woke me up. I asked him why she pulled my hair out and put it in a Ziploc bag. One day, Samantha came and held my hand. I was curious about Samantha's grandmother, so I asked her why her grandmother has a scar on her forehead. She told me that when her grandmother and her grandfather were still young in Thailand, she had a fight and her grandfather hit her grandmother in the heat with a chair. I asked her how her grandfather was after her grandmother died. She told me she's better. Then Samantha told me that his grandfather at the time was not his real grandfather. I asked him where is his real grandfather. Samantha said that during the time the people were crossing the Mekong River, the other grandparent were with other people. They reached the Mekong River and made rafts, but waited until dawn to cross the river because crossing it at night is too dangerous. At dawn, her grandparents and other people crossed the Mekong in their raft. Some remained hidden near the river. Once they got to the Thai side, the sun was just rising. Her grandfather and other men returned to collect the rest of the other people. They returned to the low side and more people boarded the raft. As they were about to return to the Thai side, the communist soldiers saw them and started shooting them from behind. Samantha said his real grandfather died on the low side of the Mekong River. I was curious, so I asked Samantha to bring me a photo of her grandmother when she was young. She said she remembers her parents having a family photo album. The next day she came with his parents' photo album. She showed me a photo of her grandmother when she was still in Thailand. She was younger then. She looks like the woman who used to come and hug me when I was having a fit. I remember waking up one day to see the girl in a white dress and the boy in a blue shirt standing by my bed. The boy said he doesn't know where to go and wants to come with me and the girl in white. I know I'm dying. I'm only 22, but I'm richer than most people in this world. My girlfriend Samantha is always by my side. She never left me until my last breath. Thank you for listening. Remember, no matter what life throws at you, you have the strength within you to overcome it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I was alone that day. My mother would always be by my side and not come home to sleep. But she was late on my third night in the hospital. All I remember is that when I turned 14, my eyes started getting blurry and I needed glasses. My mother is a pharmacist, and whenever something goes wrong, she always takes me to the doctor. I remember that he took me to the ophthalmologist to get me some glasses. I just shook my head. I can't believe my mother believes that when she's a pharmacist. When we arrived, I was sitting on the couch while my mom and older grandmother were doing their voodoo thing. They have a bucket in front of them and they crack open a raw egg and pour the contents of the egg into the bucket. I don't know what they were talking about as they didn't speak English. She said she wants to take some of my DNA from the root of my hair. One day, if the scientists can clone humans, she will want to clone me again. As she said it, her tears streamed down her cheeks. I smiled. My mother is my everything. I asked her if she wanted even more. I would pull a few more hairs, but she said she had enough. One day, Samantha came and held my hand. I was curious about Samantha's grandmother, so I asked her why her grandmother has a scar on her forehead. She told me that when her grandmother and her grandfather were still young in Thailand, she had a fight and her grandfather hit her grandmother in the heat with a chair. I asked her how her grandfather was after her grandmother died. She told me she's better. Then Samantha told me that his grandfather at the time was not his real grandfather. I asked him where is his real grandfather. Samantha said that during the time the people were crossing the Mekong River, the other grandparent were with other people. They reached the Mekong River and made rafts, but waited until dawn to cross the river because crossing it at night is too dangerous. At dawn, her grandparents and other people crossed the Mekong in their raft. Some remained hidden near the river. Once they got to the Thai side, the sun was just rising. Her grandfather and other men returned to collect the rest of the other people. They returned to the low side and more people boarded the raft. As they were about to return to the Thai side, the communist soldiers saw them and started shooting them from behind. Samantha said his real grandfather died on the low side of the Mekong River. I was curious, so I asked Samantha to bring me a photo of her grandmother when she was young. She said she remembers her parents having a family photo album. The next day she came with his parents' photo album. She showed me a photo of her grandmother when she was still in Thailand. She was younger then. She looks like the woman who used to come and hug me when I was having a fit. I remember waking up one day to see the girl in a white dress and the boy in a blue shirt standing by my bed. The boy said he doesn't know where to go and wants to come with me and the girl in white. I know I'm dying. I'm only 22, but I'm richer than most people in this world. My girlfriend Samantha is always by my side. She never left me until my last breath. Thank you for listening. Remember, no matter what life throws at you, you have the strength within you to overcome it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.